A very good afternoon to you and welcome to our lunchtime news. I'm Sandro Ferdinando. We'll start off with a look at your headlines. Shashendra Rajapaksa questioned by the Financial Crimes Investigation Division. State leaders of Sri Lanka and Bhutan hold bilateral discussions. Another group of Sri Lankans stranded amidst fighting in Yemen to be brought to the country this evening, and 383 Indian nationals also returned back home. And now your stories in detail. The visiting Bhutan Prime Minister Shertin Tobgay, who is on a 3-day state visit to the country, called on the President Maithripala Sirisena today.
The duo held bilateral discussion at the Presidential Secretariat this morning. The two leaders signed a number of MOUs subsequent to the discussions. The Bhutan Prime Minister arrived in the island yesterday on a 3-day visit to the island. The Ministry of External Affairs noted that the visiting Bhutan Prime Minister is slated to hold talks with the Prime Minister and other political leaders.
Meanwhile, the police says that vehicular movement in certain areas of Colombo will be restricted today as well due to the visit of Bhutanese Prime Minister Shertin Tobgay. Now, police media spokesperson SP Ruwan Gunasekara said that the road closures will take place from time to time.
There will be a special traffic plan due to Bhutan Honorable Prime Minister's visit. Today traffic plan as follows. 9:30 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. From Galle Face roundabout to NSA roundabout, and 1 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. From NSA roundabout, Galle Face roundabout, Kollupitiya Junction, Dharmapala Mawatha, Liberty roundabout, Piththala Junction, Red Cross Junction, Ananda Kumaraswamy Mawatha, Horton Place, DS Colour Light, Castle Street to Polduva Junction, and 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Polduva Junction to same road to Kollupitiya and Galle Face roundabout, and from 7:30 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. to 9:45 p.m. From Galle Face roundabout to NSA roundabout and Janadipati Mawatha. Motorists are advised to use alternative roads for their convenience.
Former Chief Minister of the Uttar Pradesh, Shashendra Rajapaksa, is currently being questioned by the Financial Crimes Investigation Division. A police media spokesperson, SP Ruwan Gunasekara, said the former Chief Minister is being questioned over 2 luxury buses purchased by the Ministry of External Affairs for personal use. Meanwhile, the suspect of the case pertaining to the murder of a woman in Kotakade and Kahawata will be produced in court today.
The son of the murdered 39-year-old Chandrani Swarnalatha was arrested in connection with the incident.
Police investigations into the murder of the woman were constantly underway. These investigations resulted in the arrest of the victim's 18-year-old son on suspicion yesterday, and after interrogating the suspect, he confessed to the police of the murder. However, the police are carrying out further investigations to reaffirm the facts mentioned in the suspect's confession. The suspect is scheduled to be produced before the Palmadul magistrate today, and we hope to interrogate him further thereafter.
Reports have cited that the 18-year-old suspect is scheduled to be produced before the Palmadula Magistrates Court. A search was underway this morning to locate the weapon said to be used to commit the murder at a canal in Kotaketana. However, no weapon was discovered.
The United States has extended its condolences on the passing away of the Mahanayaka of the Askari chapter, the most venerable Udugama Sri Buddharakkhita Thero. Issuing a communique, the Embassy of the United States of America states that Sri Lankans and Americans who knew him respected the Mahanayaka's ceaseless efforts to improve the lives of all Sri Lankans through his exemplary life and the teachings of the Buddha he expounded.
The mortal remains of the late chief prelate, which were taken from Colombo to Kandy in a vehicle procession yesterday, is currently lying at the Kandy Askari Mahaviharaya. Our correspondent said that a number of religious leaders of both Buddhism and multi-religious faith paid tribute to the late Mahanayaka of the Askari chapter, the most venerable Udugama Sri Buddharakkhita Thero. The final rites of the Mahanayaka of the Askeri chapter, the most venerable Udugama Sri Buddha Rakatithero, will be held at the police grounds in Kandy on Sunday.
The rest of the Sri Lankan expatriates among the 45 who were stranded in Yemen will arrive in the country this evening.
The Ministry of External Affairs notes that the group of Sri Lankan nationals were flown to Beijing, China. The 16 Sri Lankans are scheduled to be brought to Sri Lanka aboard a Qatar-bound airplane. The Kenyan mission had also rendered their assistance in evacuating the stranded Sri Lankan nationals. The Ministry of External Affairs is currently taking measures to gather information of missing Sri Lankan nationals in the war-torn parts of Yemen.
We are asking still if there is any Sri Lankans remaining in Yemen, please contact Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Consular Section, in order to expedite the evacuation and the repatriation of these workers due to this arising situation in Yemen.
3 people have been killed and 4 others injured in separate motor accidents that took place in the island.
1 person was killed in a head-on collision involving a 3-wheeler travelling from Bandaragama to Panadura and a SLTB bus travelling in the opposite direction. The passenger of the 3-wheeler was killed in the accident that took place at around 8 this morning. The victim is a 35-year-old resident of the Haltuta area in Bandaragama. The driver of the bus and the assistant have been arrested over the accident. An accident took place when a 3-wheeler drove into a safety fence on the Jambugasmula bridge in Kirivat Kadua, Homagama. Our correspondent stated that 4 persons had been travelling in the 3-wheeler at the time and 1 person was killed in the incident. 2 of the injured had been admitted to the National Hospital and another injured individual has been admitted to the Kalubovila Teaching Hospital. The victim of the accident was identified as Corporal Lalit Dhammika, attached to the Panagoda Army Camp. A railway inspector attached to the Waterfalla railway station was killed after he was knocked down by a train yesterday. Our correspondent stated that the body of the individual was found around 1 kilometre from the Waterfalla train station when search was conducted after he did not return home from work. The deceased was identified as 49-year-old Nimal Ratnayaka, a resident of Waterfalla. The driver of a lorry transporting vegetables from the Dambulla Economic Centre was severely injured after the lorry toppled into a 30-foot precipice in the Kadwala area in Giningathenna. The incident took place at around 4 this morning. Our correspondent stated that the injured individual is currently receiving treatment at the Navalapitiya General Hospital.
A delegation of the United Nations Development Programme, including the Assistant Secretary General Regional Bureau for Asia and Pacific of the UNDP, Charling Hu, who is currently on tour to Sri Lanka, met with the Inspector General of Police N.K. Langakon yesterday.
The meeting was held to formally present a quick reference guide to the Sri Lanka Police on sexual and gender-based violence. The reference guide compiled by the UNDP has been written in Sinhala, Tamil and English. Copies of the reference guide in all 3 languages were presented to IGP N.K. Langakon.
Sexual and gender-based violence affects all parts of the society. The violent practices that victimize women and children cut across diverse boundaries. It is a crime that not only violates the right and fundamental freedom of victims, but also can have a devastating effect on the lives of victims, their families and society. This handbook and the associated training have been developed to improve our service to society in addressing these crimes by protecting victims, preventing re-victimization and bringing the perpetrators to justice.
I believe these efforts will contribute to strengthening the institutional capacity of the police at the station level to effectively deal with and investigate sexual and gender-based crimes while contributing to bringing the perpetrators to justice. I want to take this opportunity to announce that the police expert from United Nations Police will soon be arriving in the country to work with alongside the Sri Lanka Police. The United Nations Police expert will support the development of a policy and a strategy for sexual and gender-based crimes and a standard reporting format which will enable the police to comprehensively track and monitor crimes against women and children.
And with that, we wrap up lunchtime news. I shall see you again at 1:55.